Hello, today you can see all weaknesses of Mowzie's mobs in one video. Each of these mobs I will test and find their weaknesses that will help you easily deal with them. Let's go. Let's start with the frost maw, because they will help us pick up its crystal, and I have been looking for a method for a long time how to pick it up from him, and I tried to approach it on the shift. But he woke up. I tried to appear underground, but he woke up. I even tried to teleport to him, but he quickly clenched his fist and did not give me a crystal, and I even got a fishing rod from my inventory to try to catch this crystal. But unfortunately nothing worked out for me. The fishing rod does not hook this object. After that, I decided that it was possible to check the potions and see how they would work on it. All the potions that I tried were associated with negative effects. This is instant damage, poisoning, slowness, and weakness. But they did not help me kill it in any way. They inflict damage on it, but in very small quantities. Then my brain and the third eye talked among themselves and decided to put forward a theory about the potion of invisibility. That's where I got fired up because it was another hope. I drank a potion of invisibility and stealthily went to take his crystal. You will probably be surprised, but it really worked. There is no information about this on the internet, because I did not find it either. So the first weakness is the potion of invisibility, which helps us essentially disarm him, and he will no longer be able to freeze you, and I think this is his main weakness, and it will help you a lot in battle with it. But one weakness is, of course, cool, but I decided not to stop there and find two more. My theory appeared without the help of my eyes and brains. I just saw a spider, which led me to the idea and checked the web on it. I built just a huge wall of cobwebs and spawned the frost maw, and how cool it worked. First of all, if you didn't pick up the crystal, then its ice block through the web will not fly into you. Secondly, it gets tangled and stuck in it. And when it is stuck, you can simply pour lava into it. This is, by the way, the next part of the check is lava and water. We will start with lava. Since I already mentioned this check, I decided to do it very simply. Pour lava in a circle and stand beyond its borders, having previously spawned it in the middle of the circle, turning on the survival mode. I woke it up, but as you understand, even at the stage of cobwebs and lava, it dies quickly enough, and it cannot swim out or jump out of it. So I advise everyone to carry a bucket of lava with them, and then we have water. I decided not to build a pool this time, but just check it out in the ocean. When I spawned it in the water, it seemed to be just standing and doing nothing. But the most interesting thing is that it's not there. No, it's strange. It's like a single iceberg floating across the ocean. But that's not all. Can I say that water is his weakness? And I think it is possible, because he will not chase you in it only if you are him, because if you chase him, he jumps away from you like a frog. Okay, the next thing we'll check is the weakness of the thunderstorm of all the monsters in Minecraft. It's a slime and a minecart. Let's start with a minecart, because I want it that way, and I built rails straight to the sleeping frost maw and launched a minecart into it. I was extremely upset to see that it didn't work, but just stood almost in it, right? Almost in it, and didn't want to put it in myself. But I think that not all is lost, and you can try to check the same with a boat. Without thinking twice, I took a boat and built a blockage around it, and when it tried to go through them, he succeeded, and I couldn't believe it. For a long time I followed him and tried to put him in this boat, but unfortunately nothing worked out for me, and I couldn't believe it because even the strongest mobs got into the boat. But this one is not what we put boats. 0 points in this issue and move on. Its dimensions suggest thinking about whether it can follow you to narrower places. Probably not, but it's worth checking. I, as usual, hit him and ran. I ran into the cave. As you can see, it cannot follow you, so you can hide from it right there. Or we will check something else with you now. And we'll check the fence. I built such a pen for him and put him inside. He yelled at me at first, but I was adamant. But this is another matter. What then? In fact, he cannot get out of the usual pen, and even his block cannot fly through this fence. So you can get such a pet right next to the house, or just fence off your house so you can protect yourself from it, and also sometimes cool off on hot days. He jumps very high. Well, not so much, but high, and he jumps only in case of some kind of damage. And I decided to test the trap of my great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-father on it. And here's what I got. He fell there for a day and couldn't do anything else. You can do the same and lure him there. And what kind of mob do you think can resist him? And I think not. I usually check it right away. So now I'll check it, but you can write your options in the comments. I started with all the standard mobs: chickens, mice, zombies, but none of this worked. Then I decided to change the class of mobs to stronger ones, and I started with an iron golem. A fight ensued in which it was not clear who would win. This skull is not an easy mob. So he began to jump where you jump to shore. And as you know, the weakness of the iron golem is water. So I had to wait for him to come back, and then I spawned 2 more golems. They successfully killed him. It's cool because you can also create golems and kill him without putting in any effort. The second mob I started checking is the wither. I spawned him, and then the outcome was immediately clear. The Wither, as usual, has the advantage of flying, so he easily killed Frostmaw. That is, 2 mobs can cope with it, so it turns out 2 more weaknesses. Well, finally, what I wanted to check is the fact that this mob is a winter mob. It lives in winter biomes. What if you put it in Nether and see what happens to it, because the temperature there is much higher? And nothing happened to him there. Apparently Minecraft has not yet taught the mob to interact with temperature, but from it there must definitely be a weakness, such as, for example, in the Barracoa or in the Ferrous Wrought-Knot. And do you think there should be such a weakness in Barracoa? First of all, his weakness is that he cannot move and you can do anything with him. For example, dig a deep hole and throw Barracoa to the bottom. He did not receive any damage, not a scratch, as it turned out. He is invulnerable to this and cannot break, and so since Barracoa does not like to move, I thought why not just pour lava on him, which I decided to do when I saw how quickly Barracoa burns out. I thought that this was his weakness, but it was not there. He called on his henchmen, who immediately began to regenerate him, imposing invulnerability on him. Then I thought why not just kill them? Then supposedly he would definitely burn down. But all this was useless, because he summoned new henchmen every time I killed them. So I sat and thought how to kill Barracoa with lava, while preventing his henchmen from saving him, and a brilliant idea came to my mind since he sits in one place. What if we dig a deep and narrow hole like we did at the beginning, only pour lava at the bottom, throwing Barracoa into this lava pit? Where he burned very quickly, he again tried to call his little slaves to him, but they spawn in blocks and quickly died from lava. But it causes him great damage. The henchmen die, respectively. Barracoa also dies. So this is his weakness. We move on looking at Barracoa. I thought what other weakness to check him on. Then I saw what a healthy belly he has. He's a plump and probably weighs a lot. This led me to the idea that he could drown in water. Then I wanted to check it. I fenced him with blocks, filled it with water, and nothing happened. But after a while he began to choke and take damage, and when his HP dropped to half again, he called on his little pterodactyls again, who were saving him, but it doesn't matter if you dig the same hole as last time with lava, then the henchman will be useless. He will suffocate, and his things will not burn out, as in the case of lava. So water is even better than lava, because you can pick up his things. And the next weakness, the most useful, is the mask. You ask what kind of putty, and I'll tell you that in Mowzie's mod there are masks worn by henchmen or small children, pterodactyls, as I said, and if you put them on, you will be considered one of your own. So I decided to lure out one henchman and knock this mask out of him, and I succeeded. Putting it on, I could calmly walk in front of Barracoa and his henchmen. In this case, with this mask, you can easily make a trap and kill him, so the mask is considered the best tool for atrocities. Barracoa doesn't have much health. I checked it with an ordinary sword, and when I hit him with the sword, it pierced him very hard on health. But I already knew that he would call his little pterodactyls now, and an idea crept into my head. This idea with dynamite. What if you take it and just blow it to smithereens? Yes, so that your henchmen do not have time to save it. For starters, I decided to test it with 1 dynamite, and he received just colossal damage. Therefore, without thinking twice, I furnished it with dynamite and launched them. However, he managed to survive, but this is only because he flew away from the first blast wave of dynamite. So I decided to recheck it, but this time launch all the dynamite at once, though he flew away again and drank. But I decided to go all the way. I made calculations from the third eye to my head and placed the dynamite so that he wouldn't fly away anywhere, and lo and behold, it worked. You just need to place the dynamite correctly, and then he will die from a couple of dynamites. And I also wanted to put it by tradition, put the mob in the boat, but it didn't work out with it. In any case, it would be pointless, because he still sits still. Why should we put him in the boat if he doesn't move anyway? Then I remembered about the minecart, but it was the same situation here, so it didn't work out, unfortunately. After that, I wanted to put an iron golem against Barraco. Of course, I didn't expect the golem to win. He fought with him for a long time and eventually lost. So, I decided to put 2 golems since 2 are better than 1. It was very interesting to watch them fight, and I even noticed an ultimate move from Barraco that I didn't know about before. As a result of the battle, 2 golems can win, so I think this is the easiest way to kill Barraco, though a bit resource intensive. Finally, I wanted to test his resistance to explosive potions. I started throwing splash potions of harming at him, and he quickly got affected without summoning his minions in time. I drank an invisibility potion and approached him, and it seemed like he didn't see me. But when I got close, he started attacking me, possibly because I was too near. Slowness potions don't affect him at all, but poison potions can still be used, even if they deal a little damage. Another very effective potion is fire resistance, which will help us a lot in the battle since Barraco breathes fire, and with this potion it won't harm us. Let's take a closer look at this boss and his characteristics. The first thing that stands out is that he is very large and constantly sleeping if left undisturbed. When he senses an enemy, he wakes up and starts attacking very slowly. By the way, his aggro range is very small, so if you are about 5 blocks away, he might still be asleep. The second thing worth noting is his slowness. And this applies not only to his movement but also to his attacks. This can be considered his weakness because he deals massive damage. The only spot where you can inflict damage is on his back, in a specific hole with a weapon, and only when his axe is stuck. An important note is that after he kills his target, he goes back to sleep and regains all his HP. So let's start with the basics. Lava and water are the two main elements that constantly help us. First, I placed 2 aquariums. My theory was based on the fact that if you remember, an iron golem sinks in water and becomes very slow. And since this boss is also made of iron and is much larger, he should have even more problems in water. First, I placed him in a water tank. And the first thing I noticed was that he doesn't float, which is a good sign. Unfortunately, he doesn't drown there. I then decided to approach him without entering the water, but nothing happened. He didn't even open his eyes. So I had to get into the water with him, and this time he woke up, but for some reason he couldn't turn towards me. Then I tried swimming right in front of his face, and as it turned out, water works excellently as it makes him slow compared to us. Unfortunately, he killed me because there was little space, and this guy is huge. So I decided to see if he would follow me into the ocean, and it turned out he did slowly but surely and began to sink. However, killing him in the ocean is quite challenging because we need air, unlike him. But water is a great option to contain him. Moving on to lava, I also spawned him at the bottom of the aquarium, and it turned out he doesn't take any damage from lava either. So, I decided to use lava as a containment method, just like water. I poured lava around him and woke him up, and as you can see, he just stands there looking at us. His shoulders sagged, which means he doesn't want to enter the lava, and this works in our favor. Next, I started testing potions. I began with the invisibility potion, and when I approached him, he woke up. I don't know how, but apparently he can sense us. So I checked all the negative potions, and none of them worked. Even when he tried to reach the ground, I threw a potion at his weak spot, and no damage was dealt. However, the slowness potion works, but it's pointless since he is already slow. Then I thought, since he is slow, why not try speeding myself up? I found and drank a speed potion and compared how much faster I could kill him with this potion. It turned out that killing him with the speed potion is much easier. After these comparisons, a question popped into my head: what weapons can be used to kill him? Because when I tried to hit him with my hand, even at his weak spot, it didn't work. So I started checking all the swords, even wooden ones, and surprisingly, even the wooden one works. This means that all you need is quick reflexes and a wooden sword to kill him. By the way, after his death, you get his helmet and axe. The axe grants you his abilities, and the helmet provides knockback resistance. Perhaps the saying "fight fire with fire" works here, but neither the axe nor the helmet improves the battle with him. Then I thought, what about the bow? I haven't tried the bow yet, but as you might have noticed, arrows bounce off it. So I decided to try hitting his weak spot, and it worked. Although I previously thought only melee attacks worked, it turns out you need to be skillful. But to be skillful, you need to practice and die a few times. So I started looking for more ways to weaken the Iron Giant, and then I remembered the minecart and the boat. But as I thought neither a boat nor a minecart can stand up to him, too bad. The last thing we will test today is mobs. And yes, here too I found an amazing weakness. I don't think there's any point in putting weak mobs against him, but there is a point in using iron golems. Iron golems against the Iron Giant sound good, but how does it work in practice? For the first wave, I spawned about 6 golems, and the first thing I saw was that a golem can deal significant damage to him with one hit. But in the end, he killed all the golems in a few seconds. At that moment, I had no ideas other than to spawn more golems, and then I created a whole army of withers and golems against him. But it ended the same way as the first time. Now, I'm writing this text, and I think only at 4 a.m. Could such a brilliant idea come to mind? I wondered why spawn many golems when one would be enough. You don't understand, do you? But no worries, I'll show you now. I immediately went into Minecraft to test this theory, built a statue of an iron golem to spawn him, and as soon as I aggroed the giant, you can see how quickly we dealt with him. It's also good, but I advise you to land the final blow yourself. For some reason, after I killed him, the helmet and axe didn't drop. Probably because the iron golem killed him, and we dealt with him in just 3 hits. This is a record in my opinion. Let's start with the simplest but interesting mob, the lantern. This harmless mob floats and glows like a jellyfish. The mob is very weak and can be killed easily with 3 simple punches or 1 sword hit, and it drops a glowing potion that grants night vision when consumed. The only strength of this mob is that it flies, making it hard to reach. So, the best weakness against it is a bow. I also wanted to test potions on it. First, I made a small cage so it wouldn't fly away, threw potions at it, and it seemed unaffected. Then I tried throwing harming potions, and it burst instantly. Since we built a cage, let's test its resistance to lava and water. It dies instantly from lava, and it suffocates in water, even though it looks like it could live in water, because it resembles a jellyfish. The last thing I want to test on it is the boat. Surprisingly, the flying mob sat in the boat. I wondered if I could move around with it in the boat, and it turned out I could. So I decided to take it for a ride. I changed the day to night and used it as a lantern. It illuminated the way perfectly. The next mob is a predatory plant. This mob is definitely not harmless and will devour you to the bone. So I didn't hesitate and started looking for its weaknesses. First, I wanted to check its reaction to lava. It would seem that a plant should definitely burn in lava, but not this plant. When I lured it out, it transformed into its true form and immediately burned to ashes. Next, I wanted to see how it handles water. I doused it with water and waited. After about 10 seconds, I noticed bubbles coming out of it, indicating it was suffocating. However, it didn't die. So I decided to pull it out from underground again, and this time it attacked me while simultaneously taking damage from the lack of air. However, you need to do this while it is in its true form. I also decided to test it with all the standard potions. I threw a harming potion at it, but nothing happened. Then, I threw a poison potion, but it didn't seem affected either. I enclosed it with pigs and threw those same potions again, and they all worked. So, I can say that nothing affects it while it's in its hidden form. But if you disturb it, you can kill it with anything. Still, I wanted to find a way to kill it in its hidden, invulnerable form. I piled sand on top of it, but surprisingly, it remained unaffected. I also tested TNT, but none of the methods could kill it. Out of ideas on how to kill it, I had one last thought to drop it into bedrock. This worked, and it died almost instantly in its invulnerable disguise. Next, I wanted to test the crystal crayfish that lives deep underground, also known as living ore, and is as valuable as diamonds. This mob, like the lanterns, is harmless but not as weak as you might think. You can't hurt it with your hands, a sword, or a bow. You also can't drown it in water as it floats to the surface. However, you can easily cook it with lava. This crab, called living ore, implies that it can be mined like ore. You can kill it with a pickaxe, which I confirmed. Even before testing, I knew you could kill it with 1 hit from an iron or diamond pickaxe. This is the easiest way to kill it. Most importantly, you get a diamond from it. Any other method of killing it will result in no diamond drop. I also tested poison potions on it, which worked for the first 10 seconds, after which it seemed to develop some sort of immunity. I tried throwing another poison potion and noticed it no longer took damage. I also threw harming potions at it, to which it was immune. Lastly, I tried blowing it up with TNT, which killed it. I also noticed that falling from a great height harms it. I built a tower from blocks, spawned it, and planned to drop it. Since it's immune to regular attacks, I had to break the blocks under it, and when I broke the last block, it splattered into pieces. This mob is very afraid of us, and catching it is quite difficult. If you don't catch it within 5 to 7 seconds, it burrows underground, and you won't find it again. So, I decided to test the invisibility potion. Somehow, it could still see us and wouldn't let us get close. I tried using a slowness potion on it, which worked, but to apply it well, you need to do it from above. In that case, it's easier to jump on its head and hit it immediately with a pickaxe. I think we've tested enough weaknesses on this mob, so let's move on to the last and most terrifying mob of all, a creature resembling a cockroach or a winged snake that can fly and shoot at you. I think there's no point in testing lava or water, since it moves through the air. However, trying to kill it with a bow is worth a shot. I tried, and it was easier than expected. I hit it in the head with an arrow, it fell, and then I shot 2 more arrows into it, and it died. Upon its death, it dropped a fang. I then wanted to pit skeleton archers against it, but they ignored each other. An idea came to me. If it attacks us entirely, we can entangle it and pour lava over it. However, lava didn't harm it, so I thought and finished it off with a sword. To double check with lava, I realized I had just doused it, and after that I also wanted to test it with water. It swam freely, and it seemed to accelerate underwater. So, water is definitely not its weakness. Drowning it is possible, but catching such a snake is tough. That's all for now. Be sure to subscribe to the channel and like the video. Write in the comments who I should test next, and I'll definitely do it. This was Dud Minecraft. See you next time. Bye.